Walking down Wentworth Street in downtown Charleston, you will see College of Charleston's Kappa Sigma fraternity house. The property is where Septima Poinsett Clark was born May 3rd, 1898. The American educator and civil rights activist played a crucial chapter in Charleston's history, but her impact was much larger than the Lowcountry. Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. called Septima Clark the mother of the movement. And in 2010, Charleston Mayor Joe Riley changed the name of the Crosstown Expressway to the Septima P. Clark Parkway. Christina Lobo tells us how Septima Clark served as an advocate and leader until she passed away in 1987, and how her legacy lives on.
She was that quiet, trailblazing female.
An educator.
She was instrumental in advancing the importance of civics education.
And pillar of the civil rights movement, Septima P. Clark
We call her Mama Septima.
was an important person to many, including her granddaughter, Yvonne Clark Rhines.
It's amazing that they still find what she did in her life as a teaching tool to them or an example for them in their lives, and people are still acknowledging that.
It's important that Charleston in South Carolina knows, and I think a lot of people do know, how amazing Septima Clark was and how we're still benefiting from her life and work today.
Patricia Williams-Dockery says she learned a lot about Clark when the Charleston chapter of the League of Women Voters and Peer Theater approached her to write the play Septima.
Septima Clark was not allowed to teach in Charleston County schools when she got her licensure to teach from the Avery Institute, as it was called at that time. She could not teach in Charleston City schools because only white teachers were allowed to teach Black students. So she taught on Johns Island. And then ultimately, when she was able to teach in Charleston County schools and she didn't renounce her membership in the NAACP, she was fired. But none of that stopped her desire to lift as she climbed.
Clark dedicated her life to education, fighting to allow Black teachers in classrooms in Charleston and equal pay for equal work for Black educators in South Carolina.
It wasn't just about her, it was about the bigger picture. It was about all Black people. It was about, standing up to injustice. And I think that's a lesson to all of us.
Her work with the citizenship schools and how she taught people like Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. about organizing and how to help people understand the importance of voting can be seen to this day.
It cannot be understated because her work, her blueprint, really turned the tide. And she, her work is directly responsible for, by the time the Voting Rights Act passed, close to 1 million Southern Blacks who had never voted before were not only registered, but voting. And so we owe that to her.
Zinnia Cummings is the lead actress who is portraying Septima. Also born and raised in Charleston, Cummings shares who Septima Clark is to her.
I think the best way to describe her is just a teacher. It surpasses educator because of course she was an educator, but to be a teacher truly means to truly have the desire to instill something in the learners that you're teaching. Because she taught way more than just children, right? She taught adults. She taught adults to read and write. She taught adults to understand what they were voting for, how to vote, how to register to vote. To me, she is the epitome of what a teacher should be. She surpasses someone who's just giving you material. She really delved deep into these people's lives and asked them questions, and that was reflected in how she chose to educate them. So she's a teacher. She's, to me, a saint. She is the epitome of a good human.
Sharon Gracie is the director of the play, which is told through monologues, music, and stories that honors the moments of Septima's life.
Her impact is felt today. I mean, we know that there are so many African American politicians, especially through the 80s and the 90s, who really had their roots tied into the citizenship schools, where we really see huge social movements and so much progress based on what Septima Clark did. So, I'm hoping that there's just a much greater appreciation for who she was, and that we are really proudly and broadly claiming her, not only as a Charlestonian, but just a great American woman who deserves to be broadly known.
The civil rights leader, educator, grandmother, and hero to many.
Know that if my grandmother was alive today, she would be out there teaching you how to be strong, how to get out to vote, how to protect your children, and how to love your family.
Still inspiring a younger generation of activists.
I'm trying my best to hold back tears now, so she's a memory worth having.
In Charleston, Christina Lobo, Count on 2.
Pure Theater will present Septima during their Low Country tour at the Cannon Street Arts Center beginning Wednesday, February 28th through Saturday, March 2nd. You can find tickets and more information on our website, counton2.com.